This evening, former Prime Minister calls for truth and reconciliation. Houston residents' complaints continue. Find out why you may be paying more for your children's school supplies than you need to. In the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, the nation celebrates Carnival. And internationally, members of UK-based charity resign amidst sex scandal.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Tuesday, February the 13th, 2018, and this edition of Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. A businessman had his gun stolen in broad daylight yesterday. Esther Sobers brings us the details.
On Monday, an unknown number of thieves broke into a car belonging to a 34-year-old businessman of Cummins Lodge, East Coast, Demerara. At around 1:30 p.m., persons ransacked the man's car, which was parked in Brickdam Street. The suspects stole the businessman's .32 caliber Taurus Millennium semi-automatic pistol and a black plastic bag containing $350,000. The businessman had just left Scotiabank on Robb Street at the time of the robbery. The man was conducting business at the NIS office on Brickdam. Reports indicate that after conducting business at NIS, the businessman found the glass of a silver grey Premio car window broken and the items missing from the front seat. Investigations are ongoing. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Hopefully this serves as a warning to all legal gun owners to properly secure their weapons at all times. Thanks, Esther. Students in grade 11 that will write the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, or CSEC, examinations this year will write an English and Mathematics diagnosis examination on Wednesday, February 14th and Thursday, February 15th, 2018. The examination will cover the content that is expected to be taught to date. The test will be administered to all students writing CSEC. Teachers for the two subjects will utilize the results from these examinations to effectively reteach and give students practice exercises that will aid in the mastery of content. The teachers that will be marking the examination scripts have been furnished with the relevant mark schemes for each subject area. The Mathematics Paper 2 and Paper 1 examinations will be written in the morning and afternoon respectively on Wednesday, February the 14th, while the English A, Paper 2, and Paper 1 examinations will be written on Thursday. Both examinations are being treated as national assessments, which will be administered as per timetable under strict examination conditions. Immediately after the assessment, the scripts will be marked at each school by a pool of markers using the mark schemes provided. Earlier this month, the Ministry of Public Security announced the beginning of a training program for prison wardens. The persons selected learned methods with which to safely and humanely manage inmates with disabilities. Wendell Jeffrey caught up with some of the wardens and filed this report.
Feel the edge, stop. Turn, a little bit more. Turn, feel the edge, feel the edge, feel the edge, feel the edge. Good, stop. A little baby step. Little, good, stop. You're going down on the force level now. One, put the foot down, make good. Other foot down, straight out. Let's go straight. Walk again. Walk. Oh, and you've completed it.
The prison officers who were selected to be trained in the art of dealing with vulnerable inmates have all successfully completed the 5-day course. When Channel 2 Headline News caught up with them on their final day of the course last Friday, they were learning how to deal with visually challenged inmates.
We're doing a course in coaching today, and we're about to begin thinking about coaching and how you give instructions and how you lead people.
UK consultant and co-facilitator of the course, Michael Hamilton, said that this exercise is a practical application on leadership.
At the end of this exercise, we're going to be thinking about what helped, what hindered, what it felt like to be blind and led, and we're going to then look at what the different learning that people can take from this exercise before we go on to look at particular coaching models.
Prison Officer Thompson shared his feelings after he had pretended to be blind.
I feel very strange because I had to get help for walk, and the help was good.
What was your fear?
Of walking off of something or stumping it too, or bumping into something.
What have you learned?
I learned that you can be guided, or you can be motivated.
How do you feel now?
Feel comfortable.
How was it guiding her?
It was a bit uncomfortable at first because actually her eyes would have been blind, so you would have had to now to give her instructions on where to go, where to put her foot and so on, and from time to time you might tell her to take 2 baby steps too short, and it can lead her into some problems there. But on and all, it was nice.
At the launch of the course, Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ranjatan said that the program was a part of the fulfillment of the Prison Fire COI's recommendations. Acting Director of Prisons, Gladwin Samuels, expressed the need for such expertise in the prison. Acting Ambassador of the UK to Guyana, Ron Reamer, said that his country was pleased to fund the program. The other facilitator of the program was Caroline Ravoli of Trinidad. For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. The GRA reminds persons that private education and educational items do not attract VAT. Esther Sobers tells us more on the issue.
Since the government had announced the introduction of a value-added tax on private education, it was greeted with much public outcry. After several protests in 2017 from concerned parents and citizens, the government reversed its decision. The removal of VAT took effect on the 1st of January 2018, but according to some parents, they were still required to pay VAT on this most recent school term. With this in mind, Commissioner General of the Guyana Revenue Authority, Godfrey Stacia, advises parents and guardians of private school students to not pay more than they are required to.
You see now that the tax on education has been removed and the fees haven't gone down. Right, so when we are putting out a press release, and I've already looked at it, I've said parents are asked to ensure that they don't pay VAT now. Right? So I hope the press would also say, you know what, these schools are collecting and not paying. And now that they don't have to collect, they're still collecting.
The estimated revenue from the VAT totaled $342 million annually. It was originally imposed to counter tax evasion. According to Minister of Finance Winston Jordan, a majority of Guyana's 86 private schools have not paid their taxes in years. The government would like to remind parents that as of 2017, all educational items were moved to the exempt schedule, which means that no VAT is charged and none has to be refunded, Minister Jordan said. Please note that the entire list of the educational materials in the previous schedule has been retained in the new schedule. This is important because there has been idle thought of geometry sets, dividers, and textbooks, among other items, now attracting VAT. This is totally false, as can be easily referenced from the exempt list that was published on a number of occasions in all of the dailies. Retailers who have applied VAT to these items are in fact breaking the law and should be reported to the relevant authorities immediately. For Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away. We have more news for you after the break. For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating.
place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
Welcome back. Yesterday, 23-year-old Chanella Marks was stabbed multiple times by her husband. Police said the incident occurred at around 4 p.m. at the Charity waterfront, Essequibo Coast. The suspect who fled the scene has been apprehended and is assisting with the investigation. He has since admitted to the crime. Marks was taken to a regional hospital where she is currently listed in stable condition. Yesterday, we reported on the dissatisfaction Houston residents had with their water supply. In this report, Esther Sobers tells us that discolored water is only one of the community's collective issues.
Residents of the community of Houston, East Bank, Demerara are seeking the intervention of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. They're asking for the ministry to fix their deteriorated road and drainage system since they have lost all hope in their neighborhood democratic council.
It's about 5 years now it's like this. And nobody, since the last local government election, nobody come in here and check nothing. So many people in agricultural village office. I've been there 3 times last year. Didn't see no one. They take down some statements and take name and phone number. That's all.
The situation has left this resident in a state of near hopelessness. I asked the man if he will be voting for the upcoming local government elections. He said,
I won't be voting. And I encourage the people in the street, don't vote in the local government election. Because you don't get nothing. Nothing and done. Look at the street. The damage up to the last week, this car had to get fixed. Ball joint steering and shocks had to get fixed. People exhaust falling off.
Another resident echoed the same sentiments, citing the non-involvement of the councillor. Many of the residents are unaware who their councillor is, while others stated that a councillor will only be known when local government elections approaches. This issue had prompted the residents to call for a formation of a new political party.
The government, what I said now, right, is we people have to try to change the government. Because people be going, PNC or APNU, all the way they call it, it's the same thing we reach in. These young people got to form a new government, I say. What do you think? You think they're right? Or maybe we got enough black and young youth coming up. You got your bar talking, you want enough black people in the government. But you form something like the next young party or something to fight them. Because if you got this old party, them steady. The same way we ended up. Same way we got in a circle like that is steady. What free road condition? If you got to see the trench out there, the trench you're paying tax and rate, and what the trench condition.
As Channel 2 Headline News continued its tour of the village, we noticed drains were clogged, and infuriated residents highlighted this as a reason for the constant flooding within the community.
We had a lot of flood, plus we getting water, blackout a lot, plenty blackout. That is all about, there is a complaint. Couple of years, you could go a little bit more, you could see the water. Already there's side for getting inside the house, lose a baby. 2 little grandchildren, plus more than 2. This one sick, flu. Water, the environment is very bad.
The issues do not end there. One resident is pleading for GWI to fix her leaking pipe.
We had to use bricks for keep it down, for get water. No. If you put the brick, you can't get water in there. Right? That's it. And I went and tell that guy last month, the 16th. The girl come and read meter, she take the information again, and up to now nobody can come. I can't get water.
While inferior roads, poor drainage, and other issues affect communities throughout the nation, the residents of Houston are frustrated with the conditions of their community and hope something will be done soon. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, I'm Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Does your community have long-standing issues that need to be addressed? We want to hear from you. Contact us on Facebook, YouTube, or on telephone number 218-4949. It seems that police have been making much progress on arresting persons suspected to be involved in the stolen car parts trade. Last night, Ranks in A Division performed a 10-hour operation which concluded at 3 a.m. this morning at Kurukururu, Soosdijk Linden Highway. 2 motor cars, along with a canter truck, which is registered to a Bar Street Kitty resident, loaded with a shell of a silver Toyota Spacio and a quantity of vehicle parts suspected to have been stolen or unlawfully obtained, were seized and lodged. Police arrested 6 persons. The suspects are reportedly employed by an ex-policeman who is in custody along with the others assisting with the investigations. Tonight, we present the final installment of Wendell Jeffries' exclusive interview with former Prime Minister Sam Hinds.
In the final installment of my interview with former President and Prime Minister Samuel Hinds, he makes a plea for a kind of truth and reconciliation to the era of death as defined by President Granger.
I heard the story that Lusignan people in the crowd, mostly Indo-Guyanese, and nearly all Indo-Guyanese, I suspect 99.9% Indo-Guyanese. One of the people in there even slapped a police officer, a black guy, and he didn't respond.
The Prime Minister was making the point that even though the PNC was supporting a move to destabilize the country, there were some in the armed forces who were behaving professionally.
So I must recognize and say that we had policemen and on that occasion, 90% who would have received a lot of angry abuse and who could have responded and who didn't.
No, you said that.
And so I'm happy about that because it just needed a spark. I couldn't see anything but the intention to split Guyana and get a fight going.
Right, but who was responsible for insinuating that desire to unstabilize Guyana? Where was that call coming from?
My interpretation would be that it was coming from some of misguided people who would have been supportive of the PPP.
At what level? How high up the chain you think it went?
At various levels.
No, but where would the buck have stopped?
If I look at the if I go to the illegal conversation between the vice chairman at the time and our chief of police, commissioner of police at the time, who is now a sitting Minister of Citizenship, I would say it went very high.
The former Prime Minister said that he and his party would hope that the COIs take a format that would result in no recriminations for those found guilty of any crimes committed during that era.
And we would prefer an approach, as I said, that would be
akin to the South
African model.
Which is the Truth and Reconciliation with no adverse penalty.
With what the word you used before, with the kind of commitment
that they
with revelation, what is revealed could not be used in court.
Mr. Hinds said that folks back then did what they had to do.
The American Revolution, as far as the British went, you know, was treasonous and all of that, broke the law. But as far as the Americans went, it was a glorious. We would recommend approaching a COI as was done in our period of time, even including the last one in Linden, where there would be various stakeholders in the country would nominate, recommend people, and that there would be a number of foreign persons on the maybe a South African.
As the interview came to an end, we revisited two of the main subjects of that period, former President Barra Jagdeo and Shaheed Roger Khan. Did the President, Dr. Barra Jagdeo, ever meet Roger Khan?
I don't know. I couldn't say. But I know he said one time that when he was pressed, that it may well seem that Mr. Roger Khan, or the Phantoms, I don't know if he used Roger Khan's name, but it may well seem that they are working, traveling in parallel directions, but there should be no implication that fact should not be taken, that they are coordinated or they are related.
What role did Dr. Ramsamy play in this era?
Well, I'm aware of the fact that came out of that. I'm not aware of any other activity. I'm aware of the fact that it is said that he obtained technological equipment that allowed tracking of cell phone calls or whatever, and that it was utilized.
Was he ever chastised for that?
One has to look at periods of time. One has to look at periods of time and see. My feeling is that there was no chastisement. There was no chastisement, and one would again, I think we need the benefit of a chronological discourse. We need the benefit of a chronological discourse so that actions can be placed in the right and the proper context.
For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.
Some interesting thoughts to leave us with. Thanks, Wendell. For those who would like to watch scenes not covered in our interview series with the former Prime Minister, the entire interview can be accessed via the Channel 2 Facebook page, Wendell Jeffrey's Facebook page, and our YouTube account. Don't go away. After the break, we have our regional news, our international news, and more.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
yours, I am yours. I know who I am, oh, I know who I am. I know who I am yours, I am yours, and you are mine.
For the best Creole food in town, come to Ridley's Restaurant. Taste our hot meals, fresh bread, and sweet pastries. Our spacious dining hall is free for all occasions. For reservations and more, call 226-2518 or 225-7245. We're open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wrigley's Restaurant, located at 38 Robb Street, Laceytown, between King and Wellington Streets. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Ridley's Restaurant. Tasty and healthy eating.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
Welcome back. And we now take a look at the region. In Trinidad and Tobago, traditional mass is celebrated all across the Twin Island Republic. CNews has more.
There was no shortage of traditional mass at the Queen's Park Savannah on Carnival Monday prior to the parade of the bands. From clowns to borokeets, many spectators were entertained by the presentations on the big stage. Shirley Lewis reports.
It's a new addition to the NCC's Carnival celebrations, an effort to preserve the traditional mass in uptown Port of Spain. And so the Queen's Park Savannah came alive with the traditional characters from 9 a.m. From Moko Jombies to borokeets.
And these are the donkeys. Again, the concept of moving the head back and forward of these portrayals.
Minstrels. This other minstrel band sang this song about claiming their space.
Trinidad Carnival is the greatest festival yet. They find it hard to make room for the traditional.
Then came the jab-jabs whipping it.
The category of devils and demons.
And there was no shortage of antics as these clowns showed off their dexterity. The display of the traditional characters continued into the early afternoon, making way for the parade of bands on the Savannah stage. Sherilyn Lewis, CNews.
And internationally, UK-based charity Oxfam's second-in-command has quit over allegations that aid workers paid for sex while on assignments in Haiti and Chad. Penny Lawrence, Oxfam's deputy chief executive, said in a statement on Monday she was ashamed of staff members' use of prostitutes in both countries and has resigned from her post. Al Jazeera has more.
As more questions are asked about sexual exploitation by Oxfam staff in Haiti, the international charity is fighting to save its reputation. Ahead of a meeting with Oxfam bosses in London, Britain's International Development Secretary warned they must be transparent about what happened in 2011 or risk losing government funding worth $43 million last year.
If the moral leadership at the top of the organisation isn't there, then we cannot have you as a partner. I would also just note that there are enormous numbers of people who are doing good work, and they're good people working for Oxfam, and they have been betrayed in this as well.
The charity's been hit by reports its country director for Haiti, Roland van Houwermeiren, was alleged to have invited prostitutes to a villa rented for him by Oxfam following the 2010 earthquake. The The organisation says it did investigate at the time and fired 4 people, while allowing 3 others, including Mr. Van Houwermeiren, to resign.
What those few privileged men in Haiti did was to betray the trust of our supporters, our donors, and to betray the thousands of hard-working Oxfam staff who put themselves out, risk their lives to do this work of saving people's lives, children's lives.
On Monday, it emerged that back in 2006, when Van Houwermeiren was Oxfam's country director in Chad, concerns were also raised about employees using sex workers there. Hours later, Oxfam's Deputy Chief Executive, Penny Lawrence, resigned, saying the organisation failed to adequately act on the allegations concerning both Chad and Haiti. Oxfam has announced a series of measures in response to the scandal. It says it's improving its recruitment and vetting process and setting up a new independent helpline for people to report abuse. But some industry insiders say there's a wider culture of denial, warning for years predatory paedophiles have been allowed to target the aid sector. Andrew MacLeod, a former senior advisor to the United Nations, agrees. He's calling for prosecutions.
We've got to fix this. Aid workers and the aid industry needs to be full of humility. Now, there are very, very many good aid workers out there, and certainly not every aid worker is a pedophile, far from it. But the systematic problem is the culture of the industry, the paternalism, and just think of Oxfam not even reporting it to the local police. What was going through their head?
Charities like Oxfam are going to be under intense scrutiny from politicians here in Britain. How they respond could determine not just how much government money they continue to get, but how much goodwill they continue to receive from the general public. And that could be their biggest concern. Nadeem Barber, Al Jazeera, London.
And now for your 7-day weather forecast. Here's this week's bridge retraction schedule and today's foreign currency exchange rates. And that's Channel 2 Headline News for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Channel 2 Headline News on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast, and Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez, signing out from this newscast, saying thanks for welcoming us into your homes, and do have a blessed evening.